Andy McNamara with you here. The NFL draft is in the books. The 2019 draft from Nashville done. Lots of storylines, some reaches, some value picks. And the Cleveland Browns with a first round pick I thought did very well. Much better than teams like, let's say, the Giants, even the Cardinals at that point. So what we'll do today, I'm going to give you my grade on the total draft. We'll go through each draft pick that the Browns made and other players that were available at the same time. So other ways they could have gone at that point. And I want to hear from you in the comment section. Do you agree with what the Browns did? What is your grade for each pick? What's your grade overall for this Browns draft? Were you happy? Was there another position group you would have liked them to go on? Another player that was available that you thought, hey, you know what? He would have been better than the one taken. Make sure you click subscribe right there on YouTube for Chat Sports so you don't miss any Browns or NFL news. Follow me on Twitter at AndyMC81 and make sure you follow and subscribe on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/AndyMacLive, twitch.tv/AndyMacLive. So my overall grade for the Browns here, B+. Nice, real solid draft. You didn't have a first round pick. I thought you had some great value. I would have liked if they could have gotten a big-bodied receiver, even a project who's physical, a la Miles Boykin that the Ravens took, but that wasn't to be. I would have also liked a tight end, maybe more of a raw pass-catching tight end to replace Joseph DeValve. That also didn't happen, but they did get a kicker. You know how much I wanted them to get a kicker, and they got arguably the best one in all of college football. So we'll go through that. They addressed some key needs in the secondary, but it was a defensive-heavy draft as the offense was with Odell Beckham Jr. primarily set. So let's go to, it was day 2 on the draft. The Browns did not trade back up. John Dorsey stayed put. He did, however, trade up from 49 to 46, giving up one of the 3 fifth-round picks to Indianapolis, and he got here what I think is one of the best values in this draft, certainly of the second round, cornerback Greedy Williams out of LSU. So another LSU Tiger joins the fold with Odell Beckham Jr., with Jarvis Landry, with wide receiver coach Adam Henry. Greedy Williams, his size, I love 6'1" in a bit. He's a physical cornerback, and he was right there with the top group. Depending on what rankings you had, he was 1 or 2 to get him in the second round. Tremendous. DeAndre Baker went before him. The Giants got him. There was, with this whole group, with corner and safety, it really came down to me as far as to scheme fit for a team where you graded a guy. And for Greedy Williams, his tackling needs to get better. He's a lot of times he's a shoulder tackler, but again, as long as he's willing, and it seems like he is, as long as he's willing, you can fix that. So now what you do is you have Denzel Ward on one side, you have Terrence Mitchell on the other, you move in Greedy Williams, you give him time. You don't have to force things. That's the great thing with where the Browns are at. Now John Dorsey has built this team. You don't have to force any of these draft picks in the lineup day one. They can all find their way and proceed naturally into the rotation, into the lineup, because of the depth he's built around them through free agency and previous drafts. So Greedy Williams at that spot, tremendous find. Now you cover yourself off if there's an injury to Denzel Ward. You also have Eric Murray, who went safety to corner. You can have him go back and forth in that trade a little bit earlier. So great pickup. I give this pick an A specifically for the Browns. What do you feel? What do you grade this pick in the Browns overall? Leave it in the comment section. However, second round, there were some other players available at this spot. Other options, safety Nasir Adderley, who visited the Browns facility, so actually went on a visit, and if you felt you wanted a safety look, that's where you could have gone. But as far as safety goes, would I have liked a Taylor Rapp at that spot, also available? You guys know from the mock drafts I did here on Chat Sports, Taylor Rapp was my guy, but they obviously felt you had Demarius Randall. You brought in Eric Murray as an option there too. You brought in Morgan Burnett from the Steelers. So you didn't have to have something where you took him or reached for a safety and filled really a spot of greater need, and that was cornerback. And at that value, that's why he traded at that value, and John Dorsey was giddy over it at the press conference. He loved the value there, and so do I. So you could have gone Nasir Adderley. You could have gone Taylor Rapp from the secondary safety standpoint. If you wanted to take your offensive lineman here, now I had Max Sharping, offensive tackle, projected to the Browns as maybe a third-round pick, but he was somebody that went a bit higher in the second round. too high for a tackle at this point, in my mind. You went Austin Seibert a year ago, and he sat for a year. You needed somebody that could come in and make a difference in some degree. And the tackle likely wasn't going to do that with Greg Robinson on you, Chris Hubbard. You have Corbett move in. You still have Desmond Harrison floating around there. So too high for a tackle. Wide receiver, the option. DK Metcalf was on the board. He was one of my number one guys there. N'Keal Harry was right there as well. He was not available, but as far as ranking goes, DK Metcalf would eventually go to the Seattle Seahawks. That would have been your big physical wide receiver target check. But I get the corner. I definitely appreciate the value. And I think that is something that John Dorsey gets a big check mark for Greedy Williams. But again, what do you feel? Did you like the pick of Greedy Williams that they covered corner and really addressed that need safety net for the Denzel Ward concussion issues? So that was the 46th overall pick in the second round. Now we go to the third round, 80th overall. This pick I felt was a bit of a reach. However, linebacker Sione Takitaki. Maybe the coolest name in pro sports now. Takitaki, I love it. But at linebacker, much like some of the other defensive positions like safety, like corner, outside of the Devons, Bush and White that both went in the first round, it was really looking at what type of player would fit your scheme, what would fit your personnel. So Sione Takitaki is somebody who had some off-the-field issues. Surprise, surprise, John Dorsey, right? Off-the-field issues early. He got married in college and then turned it around, was a team captain. He was actually kicked out of BYU and then turned his life around, got married, and was able to be a team captain. The word on him is a ferocious motor, ferocious tackler. And that the knock though is that he's too eager. Sometimes he overshoots. But I'd much rather have a guy that I have to pull back on his aggression and tenacity and motor than someone to push, because it's a lot easier to say, hey man, we'll teach you to try to settle down, than if someone just doesn't have it in him. So this pick I didn't necessarily love. The Browns definitely needed help at linebacker. So that's a spot where you definitely needed to have some depth with the departure of Jamie Collins, right? Because you have Kirksey, Schobert, and Avery, and Ray Armstrong, like special teams guys. So you needed to upgrade there. This is someone, again, you don't have to force into the lineup. You have a rotation, a lot of upside with Sione Takitaki. Other players available at the time. Wide receiver Miles Boykin. Talking about him on the show here on Chat Sports, right? Make sure you click subscribe again. Don't miss any of the news. Wide receiver Miles Boykin, because for the Browns, OBJ, Jarvis Landry, you don't have the big 6'3", 6'4" physical body. Rashard Higgins is a bigger wide receiver, but not physical. Miles Boykin had that 43.5-inch vertical at the combine. He's going to win those 50-50 balls. He can run through people. He can get up and jump and not be afraid of contact. Boykin I really liked. Ravens got him. Disappointing. Safety Will Harris at this spot. So you went corner with Greedy Williams. Safety could have been an option with Will Harris. And you come back to, again, the point where they've done enough in free agency where I think Dorsey felt, all right, I'm going to wait and I can get a high ceiling, maybe somebody who needs some work, but with these veterans, I don't need to force, I don't need to push the envelope. So Will Harris was one. And cornerback Justin Lane. You could have gone back-to-back. That would have been a little crazy, right? Steelers ended up getting him. Would have been a little nuts to go corner, back-to-back picks. But Justin Lane, you talk about value with Greedy Williams. Justin Lane falling was unreal. Those are two guys who I thought you looked at them and you pop those two guys in, you would have had a lot of options at cornerback. But I understand linebacker was a position of need. He likes Takitaki, third round overall. Do you like that pick? That's the first one that I think that might not be where I would have gone. But again, I like the physicality of him. I like the mentality. I like the tenacity and the motor on Takitaki. Then we move on to the fourth round, pick 119 overall, and we go, this is where we get the safety. This is where we get the safety. Sheldrick Redwine. So back-to-back awesome names for the Browns. Takitaki and Redwine. This guy's out of Miami. He's like the sixth player on the team from the U, so he's going to be well represented there. Sheldrick Redwine is just like I was talking about. You have those free agency signings in safety. You've got Demarius Randall. This is a project who you can put him on special teams right away, and I think he's going to be able to be a contributor at safety but in a rotation, and you get him comfortable. That's, again, the beauty of what John Dorsey has done with that roster. Nobody has to be pushed in. So Sheldrick Redwine going at 119. Other options, if you wanted to go the wide receiver route, could have gone Gary Jennings. Seahawks picked him up. 6'1" guy, not the big-bodied frame, but would have been an intriguing option in there to be brought in and compete for playing time. So Gary Jennings was one option. Defensive tackle. That's an area that was not addressed that I thought could have really used some shoring up. Because you got Sheldon Richardson, you got Larry Ogunjobi. If one of those guys gets injured, you don't really have anybody behind them. And Rennell Wren was somebody I liked coming out of the Senior Bowl and Combine. Huge frame. Just the perfect plug right in the middle. And he was available. So where you had maybe some safety depth already, you could have gone defensive tackle. I give that pick a B minus for Dorsey, getting Sheldrick Redwine, where you had somebody like Rennell Wren on the board at defensive tackle. What do you all think of that? Would you have gone to a different position? Would you have gone DT? Type it in the comment section below. The other spot I could have gone there, and I love this pick for the Cowboys, Tony Pollard. If you're watching any of the shows or any of my TSN or twitch.tv/Andy Mack Live, you would have known I love Tony Pollard as an option. He went a little bit higher than I thought. He could have gone 5th, 6th round. That was kind of the grade on him. But for Tony Pollard, he's what you call just a weapon. He's versatile. You can pop him in the backfield. You can throw him out into the slot. You can put him on gimmick plays. You can have him as a true kick returner, punt returner, which is also what the Browns need. They brought in some practice squad type guys, some tryout guys. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. I think you could have had Pollard in there to fill that role, as well as some gimmick plays to really try to firm up that special team spot. So Tony Pollard, I thought, might have been a missed opportunity, but they're deep on offense. So they thought, all right, we're going to go safety again and have Sheldrick Redwine as the person that can grow into the safety role. So Sheldrick Redwine, I'm okay with it. I understand it. I would have preferred somebody like a defensive tackle, Rennell Wren. Then we get to the 5th round, and we talk about value. Okay, now remember that first 5th round pick was traded so Dorsey could move up to go get Greedy Williams. That's fine. So where I was iffy on the linebacker, Sione Takitaki, who has some questions, maybe a reach, you got to steal at Mack Wilson. Dorsey goes back to linebacker and gets Mack Wilson. And when you look at thumper linebackers that can go in, hit, sound tackling, Mack Wilson was ranked right behind Devin Bush and Devin White. So this is a steal in the 5th round. And what Dorsey does, he gets two different skill sets of linebackers that he can push right in. And I think that is something that is really smart by Dorsey. Now you have two young gun rookie linebackers to help complement that core. And linebacker has gone from a weakness, you got to prove it on the field, but has gone from a weakness in the sense of depth to a strength. And now you got some coverage there. Now other options at that point, again going back to defensive tackle, Dalen Mack was available at that point. I like Dalen Mack, but that value for Mack Wilson, you can't argue with that in my mind. I give that an A pick, an A grade for Dorsey. I don't think you can argue with that. Would have liked it. Linebacker Blake Cashman has all the measurables you want, but is on field plenty of question marks. Plenty of question marks. A combine warrior, plenty of question marks. I'm fine with them not going there. The other option could have been cornerback Michael Jackson, but you already got Greedy Williams. That would have been more of again, a depth pick, which you still could use at corner. Can never have too many corners, but Mack Wilson, definitely a big old check for John Dorsey there. Give him some dog bones on that. 5th round. This is usually high to take a kicker. But you know, I wanted a kicker. I don't trust Greg Joseph with anything. They went to Oklahoma kicker Austin Seibert with the 170th overall pick in the 5th round. He broke Zane Gonzalez's records, who used to be a Cleveland Brown, won the Lou Groza Award, and just imploded on himself. So hopefully a better option coming out of that school for the Browns there. But Austin Seibert is taken, And what that tells me with Dorsey, if it's a 7th round pick, maybe you scrap it away. A 5th round pick on a kicker, they really think this guy can succeed. He's kicked a lot too. Not a lot of long bombs. Scouts say in practice he can hit him, but in the games he wasn't forced to. He wasn't forced to kick long field goals. So that's a little bit of a question mark because we haven't seen him hit the 50-plus bombs on a regular basis in college. However, the accuracy, tremendous. The amount of kicks from extra points, from field goals, from those 40, low 40s and up range. Accurate, accurate, accurate. That's what you want. That's what you do not have with Greg Joseph. And he's also punted. So if something happens to Britton Colquitt, you also got a backup punter there. So a versatile pick and a nice pick, even if it might be seen as a little bit high. Kickers and punters were starting to go earlier this year for some reason. Austin Seibert. Other options there, Darius Slayton, if you wanted to go wide receiver here, could have been a target. Now you do have the Browns having Willie's coming back, Ratley coming back, who Dorsey brought in before, so he might want to see what those guys can do first and not spend a wide receiver pick. Jordan Miller, another corner, and linebacker Cole Holcomb. You're not going to take 3 linebackers, but Cole Holcomb was somebody of interest potentially on the board as a project piece. So we go from the 5th round to the 6th round. What do you think of the draft so far? Do you like the pick of Mack Wilson? I just love that value. Do you like the pick in the 5th round of Austin Seibert? Is that too high for a kicker? Would you have drafted a kicker? Leave your answer in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to the Chat Sports YouTube channel. Don't miss any news. Follow me on Twitter at AndyMC81 and Twitch, twitch.tv/AndyMackLive. So, get to the 6th round. 189. This is where Dorsey addresses the offensive line. You have Austin Corbett move up. Zeitler got shipped to New York for Olivier Vernon. Little thin at guard. You have Desmond Harrison at the tackle side. What are you doing at guard? Well, they got Drew Forbes. That's a 6'5", big old boy from Southeast Missouri with the 189th overall pick. Smaller school, seems technically sound and might be one of those players that just gets overlooked because of the small school. Deep draft on the offensive line and fell to the 6th round. We talk about value. Where has Dorsey been great in the past? Those 4th, 5th, 6th round picks getting value there. And I think he gets a real good one. This is somebody that, like Austin Corbett, you can park him for a year. If there's an injury, you can slide him in. But now you have your succession plan if you want to move on from anybody else in the future. You have Drew Forbes as a nice, big-bodied guard who he can be a mauler, he can pass. I like his game, and that is a nice value. That's the theme of the day. That's a value add for John Dorsey. But other options at this spot, if you wanted to go tackle instead, you could have gone Isaiah Prince out of Ohio State. Would you have gone Buckeyes? I liked Isaiah Prince. They felt they were covered at guard with the Desmond Harrison depth, or at tackle, went the guard route instead. Other wide receiver, Calvin Harmon still available. That was a wide receiver with some technical issues, but a real high upside and nice skill set. Clearly Dorsey thought they were fine at the wide receiver position. Not going to happen. Running back Dexter Williams. Freddie Kitchens made it sound in post-draft press conferences that running back wasn't a problem. Duke Johnson was going to come in, they were going to play, and rock and roll from there, and when Kareem Hunt comes back, he comes back. Still would have liked them to see them address that, even if it was more of a specialization role, somebody that can catch out of the backfield, just in case. In case Duke's mopey, in case he does get traded, and have it there. But certainly, I understand the pick, I like the pick. Guard Drew Forbes out of Southeast Missouri. Do you like this pick here, this style? I'm not saying you have to know who Drew Forbes is, but do you like this style of player, this type of move in the 6th round, where I like this a lot better than Austin Corbett being taken in the 2nd round last year and being sat. 6th round pick, sit for a year, somebody who can come in the future and be a starter? Sign me up. That's great. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And the final pick, the 7th round pick, number 221 overall by the Cleveland Browns, is cornerback Donnie Lewis. So the Browns go back to corner, Donnie Lewis out of Tulane. And at this point in the draft, you're looking at somebody, he can come in on special teams right away. He's somebody that can grow, and you add a bit more depth there. Are you gonna want to be in a position where Donnie Lewis is starting for you next year? No. If that's the case, something has probably gone very wrong with injuries. But you have somebody that you can put on special teams. You can grow, you can groom, you can see what you have, and you add depth. So they double up on corner and linebacker. Heavy defensive draft. No skill position on offense taken. No running back, no wide receiver, nothing. Other players available at corner, and I don't mind going cornerback depth, I don't. But a player available, tight end Tommy Sweeney, and I chatted about him earlier. Great hands for Tommy Sweeney. He didn't run a whole lot of routes, but the ones he did were crisp. There were a lot of effort. Needs to improve, I think, a little bit on his pass protection, but the blocking is fine. He's somebody that isn't going to light up the league. He's not going to outrun. He's not going to sprint anybody. But that's someone, if you drafted him in the 7th round to bring in to compete with Seth DeVal for the 3rd tight end spot, I would have liked. I think he has better hands, and he definitely has better size than Seth DeVal. That's tight end. Steven Denmark was another corner available. He also visited the Cleveland Browns, so that's a little surprising. Maybe they saw something they didn't like in the visit and chose to go with Donnie Lewis as the corner instead of Steven Denmark. And the other one, Chris Slayton, defensive tackle, depth on the D-line behind Richardson and Ogunjobi would have been nice at that spot. Those are the picks. More so, your thoughts on the 7th round of cornerback, doubling up. 2 linebackers, 2 corners. Do you like that? 3 secondary total with the safety of Sheldrick Redwine. Would you have preferred the Browns have gone another way? Picked up a defensive tackle, got a wide receiver, a running back, somebody else. If there's a name, if there's a position, let me know in the comment section. Make sure you click subscribe on YouTube for Chat Sports, and follow me on Twitter at AndyMC81, on Twitch, twitch.tv/AndyMacLive. So I give this draft a B+ for John Dorsey without having a 1st round pick. Great value setup with cornerback Greedy Williams and Mack Wilson. You got a kicker who can double as a punter, and you have some players with upside. So well done, John Dorsey. Well done, Cleveland Browns. I think this draft might have not been the most exciting one like in years past, but this team is going to be markedly better based on this draft. So leave the comments below. What did you think? I'm Andy McNamara. Thank you so much for listening to the Cleveland Browns Report.